The scenario here is the bridges are out, the barrier islands have been hit hard. They're going to fly across the wetlands to the barrier island, inspect their water.
Happening here today is that for the first time we're trying to test how do you coordinate the multiple use and deployment of UAS, unmanned aircraft systems, in a post-hurricane event. To establish the policies, procedures, protocols necessary to fly those planes at the same time when there's manned aircraft in the air.
After a disaster, the FAA would typically implement a temporary flight restriction, and then no unmanned aircraft would be permitted to fly. This is a terrible waste of resources because there's lots of information that need to be collected, but there is no access to getting up in the air to do it. So the purpose of this drill is to create a process by which people in the state of New Jersey, professional pilots and first responders in the state of New Jersey, can request permission to conduct unmanned aviation immediately following a disaster.
There's many different applications that drones can play. There are many different types of drones. Everything from imaging and mapping of damage to providing communication services in the aftermath of a disaster. So think about after a Hurricane Sandy, the cell towers were out all up and down the coast. So restoration of communications, damage assessment, support for search and rescue, acceleration of the recovery of critical infrastructure, and in the future, package delivery, delivering medical supplies out to the barrier islands. So you'll see all these different applications for unmanned vehicles as the technology and the regulatory framework continue to evolve.
We're providing a kind of proof of concept to the FAA, showing that our emergency management coordinators and officials are able, immediately after an emergency, to use drones to take to the skies to help alleviate the situations that occur here in the wake of hurricanes.
We have the FAA involved, NASA's involved, a company called AATI, American Aerospace Technologies Incorporated. They're actually running the exercise for us. We have some other representatives from the state police, local OEMs, Office of Emergency Management, quite a broad spectrum of individuals.
Air Defense is setting up a drone detection network at the Woodbine Airport. The scenario is that that's where the operations would be. There are some interesting drones that will be flown from there, so rogue pilots may be interested in getting a look, and they could interfere with flight of drones and other manned aircraft. So we'll detect when the rogue pilot launches and transmit the location of the drone and the pilot to local law enforcement, who could go and have discussion with that pilot.
Exercises like these go a long way to making sure everybody gets represented and everybody gets their gets their vote on how the process is going to work. We can do it today on a very nice sunny day in New Jersey, so that we can prepare for a very, very dark day and nasty weather later. And all these partnerships hopefully will be just as valid then as they are today.
Everybody involved in the operation, from counter UAS to SUAS to UAS to the EOC to the government partners, public and private entities, everybody knocked this out of the park. Everybody's incredibly good at what they do. It was really an honor to be part of this team, to have all of these people collaborate. It's really, really impressive to watch all of these different organizations and all of these different moving pieces happen and move congruently at the same time. Everybody did great. There was a couple lessons learned, and the good thing about this type of exercise is the things that go wrong are going to help us learn for the future, right? So there were some things we learned about the process, from getting a tasking order, right, to then filling out the correct paperwork and sending that tasking order back to the FAA, and then getting approval from the FAA to fly afterwards. We didn't necessarily understand what that meant, and we didn't understand how that process worked. By doing this and learning about the pitfalls and the bottlenecks, we can further refine the process for the future, so when there is a natural disaster, we're not held up on these delays.
We're not doing this to be on the leading edge of the technology just for the technology's sake. It really does pay kind of immediate dividends, and we've known that for quite some time. So it's scaling now. We've been doing a lot of work over the past several years to ready the company to move more quickly, but to move more quickly you have to have established policies and procedures. We've established all that, and now with the growing awareness, we'll be able to scale without really needing to push or ask. People will ask us.
I'm not a drone person, I'm just emergency management and incident management, but even just seeing the technology leap forward in just the last 2 years and the capabilities, that's not something most of us in the emergency management field have witnessed. So they might still be stuck in 2016 drone capabilities where you're up to 2021 now. But other than that, just ironing out the process, which seems like the dullest part of any drill, is the most important part of the drill. So just trying to figure out how we get a 213 to somebody and then turn it into a authorization to fly, and getting a drone up in the air and performing a life-saving mission is huge.
It's just exciting to see the community and the all the organizations coming together. This is exactly what needs to be doing. It's so much more than just the technology. It's coming together and building a technology ecosystem and making sure those lines of communication exist. And they led off with that in the beginning of the event. Here today, the biggest success is that we all met each other.